So I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I get the feeling you like motorcycles.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting. I didn't really set out to be a collector. I like riding them and I like tinkering with them. I like to be thought of as like an enthusiast. I don't want to have like a museum of bikes. I want to be able to use them. I was one of those kids when I would see these big bikes, I think, wow, that is cool. I want one of those. Everybody likes the way old things look, but they like the way new things work.
Oh yeah.
So I decided I would combine new technology with old styling. Well, I do the same thing with music. You know, I'm a product of what I heard when I was growing up. And that's what I do with music. I synthesize my take on things based on old styles. I don't think of myself as a singer, but I try to sound like Ray Charles, or the Beatles. But that's where I come from. And it's the same principle with the motorcycles.
Can you walk us through these? Tell us what we got going on here.
In America, when the guys came back after World War II, they wanted hot rod bikes. So they chopped parts off. They wanted a bike that went fast. In Europe, the same returning veterans did something similar with the British bikes. They chopped parts off, they lowered the handlebars, they stretched out the tanks, they rear set the pegs. You almost look like a professional racer.
Oh yeah.
And that was considered the hot bike in Europe. And the whole idea of cafe racing is a bunch of guys would race from cafe to cafe in these kinds of bikes. And the last guy there would have to buy a round for everybody. So people in the States don't really understand these bikes, but they're made to race. Exactly the opposite of the American laid-back, easy rider thing, which is like that.
Yeah. So this thing is built to perform at top speed.
It's built to be a performance motorcycle.
I mean, it looks like it. You look like you're ready to take off, whereas like a Harley, you're just...
Yeah, it's all about, the American style was all about laid-back highway cruising. Well, they didn't have big interstate highways in Europe. They just had these twisty roads.
Oh,
and you lean the bikes over and you try to go real fast. And that's what these bikes are about. This is the cafe version of a Triumph Bonneville. And this is a cafe style seat. You'll notice it's basically a solo seat with a little pod in the back. All the cafe bikes have that similar kind of seat.
So this is made for one guy riding.
You can take this off though if your girlfriend is daring. If you got a real, excitable girl and wants to ride with you, you can pop this pod off and she can fit back here.
What's the fastest you've ever taken?
Sometimes I don't want to look down at the speedometer. I had a couple of cafe bikes back in the 70s, and I found myself at one point going 150 miles an hour. I thought I was doing 70. And the bikes are so smooth and they're engineered to go fast and they perform better going fast. You don't realize how fast you're going. I looked down at the speedometer, I saw 150 miles an hour. I stopped the bike and I got off and I walked the bike home. I scared the hell out of myself. But again, you're all stretched out when you're riding this bike. Your feet are back here on rear sets. You're leaning over the tank. You clip on, now if you're an older guy like me, eventually you get it in your back, you get it in your neck, you get it in your wrist. You're like this. After a couple of stoplights, you're like, give me a Harley.
Yeah.
You know what it really goes back to? When you were a little kid and you got your bicycle, and you learned how to ride a bike, and then you were independent. You didn't need mom and dad to drive you around. Yes, you had your own wheels. And it was your own form of transport, and it was fun. And you put cards in the spokes to make it sound like a motor. Well, that's essentially, motorcycles are an outgrowth of riding a bicycle. Just a lot faster.
Yeah.
And scarier.
Billy, from one Long Island boy to another, thank you for taking the time.
Thanks a lot.
Now you guys get out of here. I'm going to try to convince Billy to let me take this thing for a ride.